Yeah, we have
Friday.
You know, I
believe that we're doing this during Mercury retrograde. We're having
yes, actually, I can.
Going to be recorded for a conference. Seriously, women, we'll be fine, right?
Yeah. Oh,
we'll be fine.
No problem. We're business non-usual.
Yeah, exactly.
Not unusual, non-usual. Good.
Well, just so we can introduce the audience to us, we're the Nameless Academy, and each of us will introduce ourselves separately, but the name is really, we're very proud of the name of this academy. It's nameless in the sense that we don't want to label anything in terms of the foundational value that we have, which is unity through diversity. So because of that, we came up with the Nameless Academy, and so that we can be as connected to the oneness of all as possible, and also bring that to our audience. So my name is Corinne Harmon. I'm the Associate Director of the Bachelor of Innovation program at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. And I am the ambassador, which we'll talk about. We have different archetypes related to our work. And I'm the ambassador, so I get to be the spokesperson and also kind of interject when I feel like it, and just, have as much fun as possible. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynnclaire for her introduction.
Yeah, well, that's perfect, because if we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong and need to finish what we're doing and get busy doing something else.
And I'm going to drink my coffee anyway.
It's Friday, Corinne.
I know.
Bodil and I will imbibe later. So I'm Lynnclaire Dennis, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Nameless Academy. Nameless because the source has many names, and so we decided to call ourselves many names because we're secular. We're not following in anybody else's footsteps. We don't have the answer. We just happen to have a scientific method that shows us the order in which to ask the questions that each of us individually need to answer in order to find our answer. So I've been up to this work for 34 years. Bodil, who I'm so happy is sitting beside me right now in my home in Spain, has been along for this ride for 21 of those years. So,
and you are the visionary.
I am the visionary, which the archetype is the guardian. So, so like Corinne, I get to go, wait a minute, time out. Are we coherent? Is our vision matching our values with what we're doing? And as we get so close to launching this work into the world, it's actually happening right now. The coherence among the team and the alignment of our vision and our values is quite magical, and how we've come together and come back together. So let me pass the baton to Bodil, because if we start with Corinne as the ambassador, then we have the visionary inside the system, and this is Miss Time and Timing.
Yes. In my when I say it, I call it the time shifter, because that's the term that's used in schools. And I like that because it's playing with time sometimes, because I know the Cubans are master about timing and how to get a cake to a friend over there, and at the same time get maybe fish back, because it's all about people moving around. It's that space, of course, but the time is also important, because you have to meet each other at different places. You can't just call them on the phone. So that's why I like playing with time. And
among other things.
Yes, among other things, because like Lynnclaire sometimes says, fun is the first syllable in
fundamental.
Danglish.
I was going to say, you need to tell them where you're from.
Exactly, that was actually a good idea. Thank you. My name is Bodil Larsen-Ledet, and I'm from Denmark, and we speak Danglish, and I work with in the social services, where you have to use many competences, and sometimes it's a challenge to zoom in on my core competencies, which is time and timing, because in my work, like everybody else, actually in many ways, use all these functions, and for me that can sometimes be a challenge to zoom into the timing.
The reason we're doing this recording, the reason we're doing this is because of this one, because she jumped into a possibility kit, a bringer role, and jumped straight into Corinne's seat and said, hey, I see this possibility and the potential. Wow, can we do it, Mom? You know, it's like
great potential.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to be doing it.
Education as relating. That's exactly what this is all about.
Yeah.
So Bodil will keep us on our toes and keep us like not so much in, because we can sometimes go out esoterically, but Bodil will say like, all right, wait, I need to understand this better. I need to understand the time of this and that and this and that, which helps us all kind of recalibrate. And it's critical for the work that we do to have the esoteric kind of consciousness to talk about bigger pictures, but also to bring it down to this earth plane so we can do the work in real time. So thank you for that, Bodil.
Yeah, and what's really wonderful is, I mean, I've stayed out of the quote unquote esoteric field for almost 3 decades now because, you know, yes, we're looking at spirituality and we're looking at consciousness, but, you know, it's the body and the spirit that are bookends for this existence. And so everything that we're doing, and this is what we constantly keep reminding ourselves, which is why we keep coming back to the Mereon Method, and what we're doing now is taking our own medicine and looking at how nature functions, looking at how something grows, how a possibility grows. And what we're talking about now, the perspective that we're taking, is not from an individual, but our group process, what we're all about together, our shared vision, our shared values. Who's our audience in the world, and why is this the right time? Why are we the right people? Why do we think we're the right people in the right place? You know, and Carolyn, we were going to ask you to speak kind of from that queen bee. You're even dressed in gold and black today. It's perfect for a queen bee to talk about priorities. What, you know, that kind of juggling when you've got so many projects going on.
So hello, and I'm joining also from Colorado. And when we think about this idea of how we fit in the world, and what Lynnclaire was talking about with coherence, I always think about this really big sense in terms of how we belong and how we fit in the whole scheme of things. And when I think about priorities, I also think about like, what am I feeling and what am I sensing right now? What are the patterns that I'm seeing in my world, and how does that fit into the evolving story of things? And that's kind of how my brain tends to function. In what am I hearing? What am I feeling? What am I seeing? And how does that connect? And how does that connect not just with the work that I'm engaged with in the so-called professional domain, but more personally, like, how does that connect with me internally? And how do I then make that fit with others, and how I'm interfacing with others? So oftentimes on our Fridays, we will get into the thick of things, and we will talk, and we'll talk about our work, but also most importantly, I think, about our lives and how everything is fitting together. And sometimes I'll start to pull together different strands of how I'm making sense of things, and then put it out there in the end of just how I need to translate, you know, the conversation for me internally, and does that make sense externally? And so I think in a more simple way in my head, it's how we're putting this massive concept of the universe and how we are a piece and a part of that in terms of energy and that connection and that relational component to that very concrete space of connection, and how that relates to what it is that we're seeing in our day-to-day in our work, and how that makes sense at both just the very granular personal level as well as this universal connection point, which is kind of how we started with, I can't believe we're having this conversation during Mercury retrograde, because there are times when I'm like, the universe is just like saying, wake up. And this is one of those moments.
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
Agreed.
You know, priorities is, so often our priorities go sideways because other people decide what we need to do. And we wind up doing what other people want us to do rather than what we, either need to do for ourselves or what we want to do or what we're called to do. Mm-hmm. And so, in terms of where we are with the Nameless Academy, having Kat on board now from our marketing and communication and grounding perspective, excuse my slip, perspective. It's called brain damage. It's, I hate it when that shows up. So to be able to ground into a positive way, to take those priorities and realize, we're fulfilling a promise and we're keeping a promise, to bring this work to the world. I mean, what we've been doing at the university with the kids is so powerful, but to keep things from going sideways, the most important things to identify, we've talked about this recently with the kids, is you don't use more than your 10 fingers. If you have more on your to-do list than your 10 fingers, you've got too much to do. And that includes, taking a shower and getting up and eating breakfast, but it's the most important thing is to make dessert last. Okay. So it's like the carrot that draws you forward. It's like our Friday meetings are the carrot that draws me forward through the week, because the weeks are so crazy, busy, hectic now with too much going on. And so it just pulls us forward. And that's what gets us to the point of stability and where we start to connect the dots. And I just want to say, and I know Corinne and I have talked about it, I just want to thank everybody for chipping in so generously and everything we had to do this week financially, because it's so wonderful to know that we can have it all, but we can't do it all. And when it comes to resources, it's, it's time, it's money, it's everything to be able to have everybody chip in and say, yep, I'm there. Here's, because we've all taken this on, this is a bootstrap operation. We're just waiting for people to show up who are called, who want to know what we're up to. So at that, I'm going to turn over to Kat. Kat, come on in, get closer to your camera, girl. You're too far away. And talk about communication and where we are and how that's going to help ground us, so that the possibilities, so that when someone sees this video, they can know where to reach us.
Okay, so hello. My name is Catarina. You can call me Kat. I'm Portuguese. I am a marketing specialist, and I am the one bringing out the news of all this amazing work. I have connected with Lynnclaire a few years back and jumped on board of this huge adventure, which is to translate something so wonderful and to make it work in real life. I mean, especially concerning education. My biggest role in life, other than being a woman, is being a mother. So I have an almost 12-year-old girl, very special, that makes me, since day one, I mean, since I knew I was pregnant, I was already worried about education, how to make her fit, or how to make the world around fit her. Because I know my challenges, or the challenges I had growing up, and my similars, and I know the evolution, and I have the sensitivity to know that there's so much more needed in the world to make these children a home. So this is my main concern since I've become a mother. I will be the one always trying to see how to make this work in the outside world, how to communicate, what language to use, what symbols to use, what meanings to use, how to reach the people we want to reach. And that's a bit of what we need to discuss today, exactly how and who we want to reach with this project in the first period, the first moment.
You know, when you came on board, it was so important. I mean, when you kind of took Bodil and I to school last week, reminding us, you know, the importance of the name and calling it the Mereon Method, because we have such a long history. You were there, you helped with Belonging, the education project that started in 2004 in Italy, you know, with 48 teachers, elementary and baby school teachers who then the classroom project was developed, a classroom management tool for teachers and parents that just lets the kids take charge of the social dimension of their learning environment, which is empowering kids like Maya and Andreas and Leah to be who they are, to be authentic.
I think it's important for the audience to know, and I think it's good to show that as we introduce ourselves as who we are and the archetypes that we represent based on some personal, deep self-reflection through questions that helped us understand where we would be in these archetypal dimensions on a team. Well, you take that, and so we've worked with that with our team, which makes us so coherent and makes us play so easily, but also makes us very passionate and determined in our work. And we know we can count on each other because we belong. And we're all, I'm getting chills now, but we're all in relationship with each other over time. And it's all been through video, except when you can get together, like you two or Carolyn and I can in Colorado. But I think it's important to—
We will be on Friday, and Kat will be with us on Friday. So
okay.
We'll agree here. Sorry.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Anyway, so I think it's important for the audience to know that the Mereon Method is really the expression of these archetypes in coherence and in interaction with each other to create a belonging first in yourself, that you finally feel you belong because you've identified the who and who you are and what you came to be. And then from there, you can go into the systemic or the organizational or the community and take it to the we. So I think it's important for everybody to understand that the me must come first, and that's the work. And that's the work we'll talk about with the target audience for the facilitators. And then from there, we take it to the we, and also other projects that we want to continue with, like research and grant writing, et cetera. We can talk about at the end maybe. But I think just to give a little capsulization of what the Mereon Method is taking these archetypes through, but taking yourself through that process. And we did this with the undergraduate students who are seniors at University of Colorado Springs. And it was pretty intense for them to go through this to determine who they were and what they really feel comfortable being and doing. And a lot of it shifted all their conditioning. And they were like, whoa, I always thought I was this, but this is me. And then they could do the work on the innovation team. It was amazingly powerful. And to watch them, I'm still chilling out here, but to watch them just open up and find who they are and where they can contribute is so amazing. And it was also in the elementary school in Italy, and it can be in any education setting, as well as any community team organization. It's based on, when you get down to the bottom of it all, or from the bottom up, top down, it's all about love. And that's what we talk about, that love is the dynamic and the dimension. And so we work within that field to do the work we want to do. So. About the me to we.
Well, it's perfect. And science has given us the natural method of growth. Nature has a sequence that nature follows. I mean, you can plant a seed in the ground and you can plant it appropriately, but if you don't give it its first drink of water, it's going to die. If you don't plant it appropriately and it doesn't get enough light, it's going to die. Bodil's son has become the caretaker for all my avocado orchard while he's here. And today he came running in, Lynnclaire, we've got a tree dying out here. And so I went down to the orchard with him, and sure enough, one of the trees near the lemon grove is not getting any water. So we took a picture, sent it to the gardener, and I got a message a few minutes ago that says he'll be here tomorrow.
It takes a while to get used to working with it. With the age I have, I also feel this challenge with having learned something else. As you say, this is not how I normally have worked up until now. So for getting the logic to click into place and it's cutting the cake slightly differently. It's having the task of looking at time and timing. It cuts across some of the old ways of defining tasks. And I saw some of the students struggling a bit with that, and also seeing how, but now it fits. Okay, I do like this, and then we play together, and there's a different flow of the whole situation.
I have to say too that I've been in the field of education for, I hate to say it, but over 40 years. And I know I don't look it, and I thank you for thinking that before you said it. But it's been very disheartening as a teacher and then to be an administrator in several systems. And the bottom line is, for me, nothing's changed, and we're losing more and more children. And the children are and I know this in undergrad level and in elementary schools, higher anxiety, higher depression. There's much more trauma for our children. I mean, it's just, we got to do better. And I tell you, after all these years in education and trying different, well, there's a lot of things that are top down that are given to us. So you should try this new method, this and this. This method, the Mereon Method, to me is the one that works because it is about relationship. It so fits into education as relating, because it does bring children into the knowing and an appreciation of themselves. Mm-hmm. And then they belong because they find their place and they belong in that place with others. And then they can thrive, and then they can create, and then they can open that up. But working in K through 12 and now in higher ed for too many years, I just see as they come, by the time they get to higher ed, and I'm in an innovation program, I have to work really hard with them to get them out of the box. Yeah. And they're afraid. They don't have the courage. They're so afraid to come out of the box and use their creativity. They're waiting for me to give them the answer. That pause that you have to have as a teacher can be endless because they sit there. And they can't find it. But with this work, it can be this way. And it's honestly, it's a very gentle approach. It's very individualized and coherent, as Lynnclaire always brings that forth for us as a visionary. And so it works because of that beauty of harmony. But I want people to understand how this really needs to come forth in this new time. And we talked about last week, I think, we're in the age of Aquarius. See, I got to go to Mercury retrograde. I got to go to those things because the only way I can make sense. So we're in the age of Aquarius now. So it's time. It's time for this, right, Bodil? It's time. Fine. So here we go. And we're here to open it up for anyone who wants to play.
We can invite you all to visit our new website. It's in the process of being put together right now. So by the time you will see us, it will be available to everyone. And it will be a tool where you can understand this project more in depth if you want to. Follow all the training courses that will be done, or other events we will be putting together, registering to get information from us, registering to participate.
I've experienced it many, many times in my life when I know that that I know consciously that I am part of a system that I am trying to make work, when it is not I'm not in the right place within that system. That's a system essentially that's artificial, that's been designed to fulfill one aspect of society, like in education, and I'm trying to make myself fit within it. And then I don't fit, but I am like that toddler with the toddler toy that has the shapes that need to go inside the plastic container. And I'm that toddler with the circle trying to make it fit into the X, right? And I'm wedging it. And then all of a sudden, I don't feel well. My health may go, my overall well-being isn't right. And I know something is off, but not what. And I feel like within this space, right, and with understanding, like Bodil, what you were saying about your value, understanding and starting with self, like this is who I am, and this is who I am with others. And I have and understand my value. And then I also understand that others within this group see my value as well. And then with the coherence, that's that I'm part of a system that makes sense, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, that describes the whole thing. I mean, that's, and I think Bodil, you made that really good point about that. You see the other differently, and in a positive, embracing way. And Carolyn, you just explain that from your perspective. That's awesome.
And I feel too that we're going to hopefully those who watch this and take part, in this dialogue will think about all of these different systems that you belong to. That sometimes we may be part of a system within education, and maybe we can't just deconstruct it entirely right now. But however, with this, what we can do is bring humanity back into it.
I believe that it's building new systems, building new ways of being in education and other fields, because to me, being in a system long enough at different levels too, even where you have the power of the position, it'll still spit you out if you're different. But I think this can become like this planting of the seed, like Lynnclaire was talking about. We need to build the new systems. Deconstructing them, they'll spit you out before you even get there.
What the Mereon Method lets us do is be responsive, not reactive in our actions.